Hello everybody, this is Dinsdale 1978 coming to you once again to talk about Mass Effect 3. And I wanted to talk about a couple little things because I'm a fan of sci-fi. I've been a fan of sci-fi for a long time. And I really enjoyed this game. And I hear a lot of people petitioning BioWare and EA to create a new ending for the game. They're also complaining about the Day 1 DLC that came out. Now, I happened to get the DLC as part of the Collector's Edition that I pre-ordered early because I knew I was going to love this game, and I'm very thankful I did. I got some cool weapons, I got a soundtrack, I got the Day 1 DLC free, and probably some other DLC along the way, I'm sure. And I enjoyed the game. I've enjoyed the game. I bought it first, number 2 for PlayStation 3, and got it for PlayStation 3 again. I've played Mass Effect 1 on the PC, so I know the story. I'm not just that comic book that came with it. I actually played through it. Loved it all the way through. For me, it's one of those sci-fi stories now that it's up there with my ranking. Probably goes Farscape, Mass Effect, maybe Babylon 5 in there, I'm not sure. Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek, Star Wars mixed in there. I have other diverse tastes in sci-fi, but those are my probably top 4 or 5 there. And I think it's just a wonderful franchise. I hope they continue to make it. I hope there's a movie or a television show or something developed from this, maybe even anime. Who knows? Because I think it has a lot of rich history to be retold and told again. I think Star Wars is a bad example in a lot of ways because some of those things that they did with that franchise were terrible. However, things like the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic, I thought, again, BioWare, were drawing out the good things they could put into a game, into a story, and made it fun again and made it new again. But I digress. People complaining about the ending is really kind of sad and arrogant. The game's barely been out a week. I just finished it myself. It took about 22 hours, I think, somewhere in there. 20 hours, maybe. And I used one of my characters from Mass Effect 2, ported it in, went through, made the choices I wanted, didn't really care about the ending, what was going to happen. Now, I've researched and looked at the other endings. I'm going to play through them to try and get them myself with different kind of characters. I want to play in a different role, and that's fine. You can do that. But the issue I see is that people want to have their own vision of a game portrayed the way they want. We've been catering too long to making the player customize everything and to be able to make the choices. It's kind of like they think they're in their own video game. Their life is a video game, and they want to make that choice, and they don't have it. And I think it's very arrogant to say, you professional writers, video game developers, I am a paying customer, and I'd like you to change everything you do to suit me and some of my friends, because we obviously know better than you, because we haven't made a game before, we haven't written anything either, but we've played before. And that's, to me, like that Monday morning quarterback, the people who played in high school, or they play in some league around their house, or with their buddies out in the parking lot, and they go, I could have told them how to throw that pass because I know better. Yeah? Well, you don't. You may have an idea. And if you have an idea for a better story or something similar, go write it. Go propose it. Make a draft, send it to a video game company, make that game a reality. Make what you think is the perfect video game story come to life. Go and become a programmer. Go become a producer. Go become a writer. Whatever you want. Become an artist about video games. But don't just sit and complain about video games because you have nothing better to do. It doesn't serve you any good. And it doesn't do any EA and BioWare anything having to try and cater to these petitions and online forum big boys. Because, I love it when I see some wisecracking 12-year-old or some, pro on every type of game that comes out put his big boy forum pants on and go, I totally would have finished it this way. You don't know what you're talking about. I obviously would have done it this way. You're totally missing the boat here. I'm never going to buy another one of your games again. And then, of course, 6 months later when a game comes out from that company, they're buying it and complaining the same way. And that's kind of pathetic. And you know who you are. And I think there's some YouTubers out there who are getting really good at that. They're getting really good at going, you know what? I'm tired of not taking this. I don't think this is very good and whatever. Fine. Be that way. That's great. Good for you. Now, granted, it doesn't help when a certain somebody who was an ex-BioWare employee starts saying something similar to that, like, why should we cater to you? And starts poking the hornet's nest. That's not a good thing to do either. Granted, she doesn't work for them anymore. But it doesn't serve you any good to go in and start spamming your Facebook page or their Twitter accounts or anything as a bunch of trolls, a bunch of idiots. The internet has made you all the pathetic comic book guy from The Simpsons. You think you know so much about everything. You think you're the experts on everything, video game and sci-fi and comic book. And you have an opinion, and that's wonderful. Have your opinion. But base it on something meaningful. You didn't like the ending. That's too bad. There's a lot of movies I didn't think the ending was very good. There's a lot of movies I didn't think the middle was very good. A lot of movies I didn't think the casting was very good. But I'm not going to sit and complain all day about it. Make a statement, move on, play your next game. Making some petition to make a game company do your will is kind of... You're getting borderline crazy that they should change what they saw as their vision for a 3-story arc game that you probably play for well over 50, 60 hours. Just didn't fit my ending. No, can't do it. Not going to play another BioWare game because I know they're going to be crap. They're just making crap out the wazoo. Now, the Day 1 DLC is a different story. A lot of people say because it was on the disc, they should get it for free. It's there, why is it locked? Well, technically, this whole idea of licensing content, did you buy the disc? What if you downloaded it? It's not on that then. It's actually a separate piece because you are going to, when you buy the From Ashes DLC, it's actually downloaded. It is on the disc. You unlock a security key, basically, I believe. And it does tell the story of the Prothean character that helps to flesh out the story. But it doesn't necessarily take away from the story if you don't see that. It's an additional piece, which is what DLC is. It's additional stories, additional content that if you want to pay, if you want to take the time to unlock it, perhaps, you get. I think it gets troublesome with a lot of multiplayer games when it comes to DLC and balancing and how that changes things. But when it comes to story-driven games, you need to buy a story arc or a side quest or what have you, or costume unlocks, vanity items. It doesn't really affect a whole lot. But I can see people's points that say, I bought this. Well, technically, most of the time now, you're only licensing the content that they allow you to have per your account on your disc. That's the way it is. That's the way it is in a lot of other things. I'm a librarian. I work with content all the time. Ebooks, journal articles where you buy a certain run of things. Technically, you have some of them, but not all of them, and people want this, and they can't get this because you didn't pay for it, and you may have this limited amount of uses for an ebook. I mean, the whole idea of this sort of digital rights and what have you is complicated enough. Gaming's trying to find a happy medium in a lot of ways. The online pass situation, to me, is a little troublesome, but I understand their model that they're going for, and I don't really have a problem with it, because if you're one of those people that tells me that because you went and bought a game at GameStop, you're doing your part, you're not. They're not giving that money back for used games to the game developers. And I know everybody's going to say, well, they should make it more affordable. Well, there is a price line they should be looking at. Now, I think we're probably okay with where we're at in prices, because I remember buying Super Nintendo games that were just as expensive as games now. And that was a whole different... That was even... I can't imagine what a game would cost now if it cost the same as what we used to buy games for then. So calm down about that. If you're going to stop playing BioWare EA games because they didn't give you Javik right out of the box, well, I'm sorry. Don't have fun. Maybe you can go play some Call of Duty and let me know how Elite's working for you, because that's another great paid service that everybody should be complaining about. They should be signing petitions about that, but they're too busy, with their dead man's hand and their a juggernaut suit out, playing with themselves in the corner, because that's pretty much how I see most COD players at this point. No offense to my friends who are, and I know I played a lot of it, but I just can't stand that game. When you start comparing it to a really quality-made game like Mass Effect and any of the Mass Effects, it's sad that we have those kind of people complaining, but yet nobody's really taken up in arms for getting really screwed out of a game. So calm down. I'm going to try and put a video about the ending, about my thoughts of it, tied in with some ideas about morality and ethics. Because I think that's what's great about this game, is it really starts to teach you about consequences. Your decisions have weight, and how it's going to affect the universe. And I think the ending, to me, let me sum it up by saying it this way. It did what it needed to do for an ending to a great story, because you expected one thing, and that's what everybody wants. They want that ending that they expected, but it doesn't give you that. What it's giving you is something to make you think a little bit more about our position in the universe, who we are as human beings, how we think of ourselves. Because we think of ourselves as this amazing, amazing race, and a lot of sci-fi does this. What happens if you're, we start contacting aliens, we start unlocking things we shouldn't have unlocked? What happens if we start discovering things that we can't comprehend and we have no idea how to process, and we become these sort of primordial creatures to them? Well, we're going to have a problem. And so that's just something to think about. And I get to that sooner or later. I really like the ending of this game, don't get me wrong. And I think it's epic and fun and deserves a couple playthroughs, and I'm going to be working on that. So catch you around.